Have you ever felt that even though your desire is still there, your body just doesn't respond the way it used to? Many men after the age of 50 find themselves out of breath in their sex life. And most of them believe it's due to aging, a drop in testosterone, or underlying health conditions. However, there is another factor that strongly impacts male sexual health, but is often overlooked because it seems harmless. That factor is the way you maintain your self-stimulation habit every day. Many modern studies in the fields of neurology and endocrinology have shown that if done incorrectly, this behavior can reprogram your sexual nervous system in a counterproductive way, making you more prone to premature ejaculation, reducing your ability to control arousal, and even causing a loss of sensation during intimacy with your partner. I'm Dr. Samuel Grant, a men's health specialist with over 2 decades of experience accompanying thousands of patients as they reclaim their true vitality after middle age. In today's video, I'll help you recognize the 3 most common mistakes men make when it comes to self-stimulation. And more importantly, I'll show you simple adjustments that can help you regain control, increase stamina, and restore confidence in your intimate life. And if you stay with me until the end of the video, I'll share a short technique that takes just 7 seconds a day, but has helped many men naturally recover their erectile reflex without medication or devices. But before we begin, where are you watching this video from? Leave a comment below. I truly appreciate knowing where these messages are being heard and shared. And if you're interested in clear, practical medical insights about male sexual health, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next valuable videos. Now let's begin with the first mistake that so many people make in their solo training habits and gradually unpack this issue in a scientific and practical way. Mistake 1. Rushing the act damages your control over ejaculation. One of the most common mistakes I often see in middle-aged men, especially in clinical consultations, is the habit of getting it over with quickly. While it's self-stimulating in a rushed manner, whether due to time pressure or simply out of habit, actually has a negative impact on the body's natural arousal response system. Your body doesn't just react in the moment, it learns from what you repeat every day. When you repeatedly create a pattern of finishing within a few minutes, your nervous system registers that as the norm. As a result, during real intimacy, you are more likely to lose control or experience premature ejaculation, because your brain has been conditioned to believe that stimulation must end quickly. Not only that, being aware of the problem yet unable to control it leads many men into a state of performance anxiety. And as you may know, anxiety is one of the leading causes of erectile dysfunction. To fix this, you need to consciously reset your entire approach. Instead of focusing on finishing, shift your goal to prolonging and sensing. Give yourself private time, no rushing, and begin learning how to stop right before climax. Practicing this repeatedly will help you develop the ability to regulate pleasure, thereby naturally restoring your control over arousal. When you master this reflex in your alone time, you're also building a solid foundation for staying in control when you're with your partner, not relying on luck or struggling with pressure. And that's just the first step. In the next part, I'll dive into another silent culprit, one that tricks your brain every single day without you even realizing it. Mistake 2. Dependence on porn disrupts the brain's natural sexual response. One of the most silent yet common causes of sexual dysfunction today is the excessive exposure to pornographic content. If you need arousing visuals every time you self-stimulate, it may lead to a disruption in your pleasure response reflex. Biologically, our brains are highly sensitive to novelty and intense stimulation. Modern pornography, with fast-paced visuals, idealized bodies, and unrealistic scenarios, delivers levels of stimulation far beyond what you can experience in real life. This overwhelms the dopamine system, gradually dulling the brain's response to real-life experiences, even when it's with a loving partner. And the result? A loss of sensation, difficulty reaching arousal, or the inability to maintain an erection unless exposed to extreme external stimuli. The solution isn't to completely abstain, but rather to shift the method of stimulation. You need to rebuild your ability to imagine, once the most natural and powerful sexual tool of humankind. Start with mental images from memory or scenarios you create yourself. Over time, your brain will gradually readjust and become more responsive to real experiences. If that still feels too difficult, you can try a gentle transition, like listening to sensual audio clips or reading erotic literature. These stimulate imagination without causing the visual overstimulation effect of adult films. Reclaiming control from within, that's the only way to reconnect with real emotions, genuine reflexes, and true arousal in your intimate life. But even when you've adjusted your behaviors and removed these external distractions, there's still one more mistake that causes many men to feel numb. And that's the repetitive pattern of self-stimulation. We'll explore that in the next part. Mistake 3. The body's reflexes become restricted by repeating just one type of stimulation. One of the reasons many men struggle to transition from self-stimulation to real intimacy is that they've unknowingly trained their body to respond to a very specific, and often overly intense, type of sensation. Over time, if you always use the same hand, with the same rhythm, the same grip pressure, and the same fixed position, like lying face down, your sexual nervous system will develop a habit of only responding to that exact pattern. These familiar forms of stimulation eventually become the only way to reach climax, while other experiences, even more real and intimate, begin to feel insufficient. What's concerning is that the intensity during solo activity, especially when combined with high-friction surfaces like bed sheets or a mattress, often far exceeds what the body feels during actual intercourse. When your brain gets used to level 10, a level 7 experience feels underwhelming and not enough to maintain an erection. To break this cycle, you need to retrain your body to embrace variety. Try switching hands, altering pressure, using lubricant to reduce friction, and changing your body position during practice. Even small changes, like sitting instead of lying down or changing the room or lighting, can help expand the reflex threshold. In other words, you're teaching your body to respond to a broader range of sensations. Flexibility in sensation is the key to maintaining performance during real intimacy, where the conditions will never be identical to when you're alone. However, if you've already adjusted all of these behavioral patterns but still see no significant improvement in your sexual function, then the root of the issue may no longer be about technique, but a deeper biological mechanism within your body. Part 2. When the brain and sexual organs stop communicating, a biological mechanism may have been interrupted. After correcting the 3 most common mistakes, many men still notice that results don't improve as expected. They've followed all the guidance, slowed down the pace, focused on pleasure, stopped relying on pornography, diversified their habits, yet their sexual health remains stagnant. So what's really going on? The answer may lie in a key biological connection, one that has been overlooked for years. A reflex center within the central nervous system that may have weakened or shut off due to chronic stress, lack of movement, or long-term hormonal imbalances. According to several recent studies, there is a kind of neural switch responsible for transmitting signals from the brain down to the genital area. And when this switch is disconnected, the body gradually loses its physiological responsiveness, even when hormone levels are still sufficient and the psychological state is stable. This explains why many people don't see results, even when they've changed their behavior correctly. The good news is that this mechanism can be reactivated through a completely natural method. No medication, no devices required. All it takes is one movement, lasting around 7 seconds a day. This simple action can send a reactivation signal to the reflex region, helping to restore erectile response and boost blood circulation to the genitals. This technique is now recommended by many experts as a non-invasive, side-effect-free way to reboot the sexual system. And thousands of cases have already reported noticeable improvements after just a few weeks of consistent practice. Right after this, I'll show you exactly how to perform this technique, the exact pressure point, the best time of day, and the science behind why it works. This might be what you need to reestablish the broken connection between your brain and your true sexual vitality. Part 3. The 7-second technique. Awaken the natural sexual system from within. In recent years, more and more specialists in men's health have turned their attention to a simple technique that has delivered significant results for men over 50. No drugs, no devices, no complexity, just 7 seconds a day. Yet it has the power to reactivate the reflex system that tends to weaken over time. What makes this method special is that it doesn't rely on external intervention. Instead, it directly stimulates the central coordination zone for sexual function, where sensory nerves, blood flow, and hormonal signals converge. When you perform the technique correctly at the right point, and at the optimal time of day, you send your body a startup signal, reviving the natural responsiveness of the genital area. Many men don't realize that with prolonged inactivity, combined with mental stress, anxiety, or disconnection from bodily sensations. These vital reflex zones gradually shut down. Well, daily reactivation is how you reset the connection between brain and sexual organs, boosting blood flow, improving erectile function, and restoring natural sensitivity. Of course, this technique isn't a magic pill, but for those seeking a sustainable, natural, and self-directed recovery of sexual health, without relying on drugs or tools, this is a solution worth trying. And if you want your results to be not only faster but also psychologically stronger, there's another factor you need to train in parallel: getting comfortable using condoms during solo practice. This is something most men ignore, but it silently becomes a major barrier in real-life intimacy. Let's explore that next. Part 4. Removing the psychological barrier of condom use. Start while you're alone. One of the silent yet deeply impactful obstacles in the sexual experience of many men is the discomfort when using condoms. Some feel irritated, some fear losing sensation, and not a few lose arousal or even can't continue the act once the condom is on. However, the real issue doesn't lie in the condom itself, but in the lack of preparation. Specifically, you've never familiarized yourself with it in a no-pressure environment, where you can explore the feeling, experiment, adjust, and adapt naturally. And that is when you're practicing alone. Consider using a condom during solo practice as part of your self-training. Try different types: ultra-thin, ribbed, lubricated, scented, and find the one that suits your body best. Once your brain registers that sensation as familiar, as a part of your sexual experience, then when you step into real intimacy, you will no longer feel awkward or unnatural. This is also a way to reduce the mental tension associated with using protection, while increasing your ability to stay in control and maintain performance during intimacy. And most importantly, you are protecting yourself and your partner smartly, safely, and proactively. At this point, we've gone through all the key elements: behavior, habits, technique, biology, and psychology. And now it's time to review this entire journey, so you can clearly see that regaining your full capacity is no longer out of reach. Part 5. Rebuilding sexual foundations through conscious action. You've walked with me through a journey not just to understand the common mistakes in self-stimulation, but more importantly, to reset the way you perceive your sexual ability and connection to yourself. We began by recognizing that haste doesn't improve vitality. On the contrary, it silently trains the body to respond in the wrong way. Then, we talked about dependency on pornographic content, a factor that gradually reduces the ability to feel real sensations and disrupts the pleasure-related nervous system. You also saw how the repetitiveness of one type of stimulation limits your sensation and hinders adaptation to real experiences. Next, I introduced the 7-second natural technique, a simple method that can restore physiological reflexes if practiced daily. And finally, you understood that getting used to condoms during solo sessions is a smart way to remove psychological barriers and boost your confidence when entering real intimacy. None of these are temporary tricks, but rather a structured recovery roadmap combining neuroscience, physiology, and practical habits, helping you gradually regain strength, emotional connection, and proactive control in your sex life. Dear friend, self-stimulation, if understood and practiced correctly, can absolutely become a positive form of training, helping you build up pleasure control, improve erectile reflex, and re-establish the connection between emotion and physical response. As long as you don't chase speed but master every moment, don't rely on external images but rekindle inner imagination, don't repeat unconsciously but stay flexible and creative with sensations, and more importantly, know how to consciously reactivate the biological switch that's been sleeping inside your body. If you find the knowledge I shared in today's video valuable, please click subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss out on new, insightful, and practical guidance on male sexual health, especially after 50. Thank you for taking the time to listen and accompany me to the very last second. I wish you strength, confidence, and the lasting vitality of a man who knows his worth not only in the bedroom but in life. See you in the next videos.